Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Soloway. I'm the co-founder and chief training officer at MindWell-U. MindWell-U is happy to share these mindfulness resources with you in support of mental health in the workplace. The videos, infographics, and podcasts available on this page are from our evidence-based 30-day mindfulness challenge. We've also included a how-to guide from our work with the Movember Foundation, as well as some other resources and articles that talk about the findings that people have implemented and shown to benefit of mindfulness in the workplace. Please feel free to download, to share, and discuss anything that you find on this page. I'm now going to do a presentation talking about the relationship between mindfulness and mental health. I hope you enjoy. I think many of us have seen the statistics showing that 1 in 5 people are living with a mental health disorder. And it's also important for us to recognize that we're all affected and living with our own mental health. We can understand mental health as a state of well-being in which we realize our own potential and we can cope with the normal stresses of life and can work productively and fruitfully. The term mental illness refers to a wide range of disorders that affect mood, thinking, and behavior. For example, things like depression or anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, as well as substance use disorders or problem gambling. What's important to understand is the relationship between mental health and mental illness. For example, you can be living with a mental illness and experiencing positive mental health, and at the same time you can be living with no diagnosed mental illness and living with poor mental health. To further illustrate the mental health, let's compare mental injuries to physical injuries. If you get a physical injury, we're likely to take care and treat that injury in support of healing. So for example, you get a cut on your hand, you put a Band-Aid on it. An infection, you might take an antibiotic, or if you sprain your ankle, you're going to ice it. We also have to avoid certain behaviors or actions due to a physical injury, such as walking if you have a sprained ankle. But what are examples of a mental injury? Mental injuries happen all the time. They're like the scrapes, cuts, bumps, and bruises we experience on a regular basis. For example, a stressful event, loss, rejection, significant change, conflict, or bullying and harassment, failure. All of these experiences can trigger difficult emotions, negative thinking, and a change in behavior. Our mental health influences our ability to heal and is influenced by our everyday bumps and scrapes. But how do we treat mental injuries? What do we do after a stressful experience at work? For example, what if we blow a big presentation or we say the wrong thing in a meeting? Often we overlook these mental injuries and just go on to the next thing without giving any attention to what happened or way of processing the experience. This is like leaving the wound exposed and untreated. Treatment of mental injuries requires the same care and concern as a physical injury. The first key step when we experience a mental injury is mindful awareness. Awareness that something significant just happened and it needs our attention. It's just like your arm is hurting, so now you need to rest it. Mindfulness is a way of treating everyday injuries to your mental health, the daily bumps and scrapes we experience. Without mindful awareness, our tendency with mental injuries is to be unaware, to react and ruminate on the feeling or situation, which just makes it worse. Not treating a mental injury is similar to not cleaning or covering the cut we got on our hand, leaving the wound susceptible to dirt and infection. Mindfulness is a tool that we can all add to our toolbox that will help us self-assess our current state and address difficult emotions, rumination, and reduce our physiological stress response. In terms of the mental health continuum, it's really important for us to identify where we are, and that just because we may not have a diagnosed mental illness, that doesn't mean that we won't all benefit from improved mental health. Because in many cases, unaddressed poor mental health can lead to mental health disorders like anxiety and depression. Mindfulness is a tool we can all add to our toolbox that will help us to self-assess our current state and address difficult emotions, rumination, and reduce our physiological stress response. There's been a lot of research done showing the benefits and effectiveness of mindfulness over the past 25 years. We now know that mindfulness positively influences our physical health, our mental health, our well-being, as well as our performance at work. Most mental health initiatives have traditionally focused on 1, 2, and 3 right now on your screen, but poorly address the development of skills for positive mental health and use a top-down approach. Whereas mindfulness training focuses primarily on developing these skills for mental health and resiliency, and at the same time, it builds greater awareness of mental health in the workforce, it reduces stigma, and it fosters a safe and supportive work culture using a bottom-up approach. Mental health in the workplace is a dynamic process. Mindfulness training is a really effective tool because it targets different populations who are at different levels. For example, people who are healthy at work, mindfulness training fits within mental health promotion. People who are at risk, mindfulness training fits within the early intervention. And these categories are constantly changing because people are always adapting and their mental health is always changing within the workplace. As well, there are people who go off work and need to return to work, and mindfulness training could be framed within a recovery or treatment process. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you found the presentation useful. Feel free to review this page and share any resources around mindfulness and mental health with employees in your workplace. If you're interested to learn more about mindfulness and how to integrate it into your organization, don't hesitate to be in touch with us. Thanks very much.